כבסייעתא דשמיא, בפרק כ"א, פסוק ט"ו. שמחה לצדיק לעשות משפט. When justice is made, it brings happiness to the tzaddik. ומחיתה לפועלי אבן, and it destroys, right, the people that do aven, that do evil. The Gaon says like this, באופן קצת פשוט, when הקדוש ברוך הוא brings justice to the world, and it makes he afflicts midat adin on the reshaim for their averot. It brings simcha to the tzaddik. Like התפרדו כל פועלי אבן, like we read in Tehillim. tzaddik atamar ifrah. Right. The tzaddik rises, right? When התפרדו כל פועלי אבן. Right? מזמור של יום השבת. The nuance here is that when Hashem brings justice on upon the Rasha, so it weakens the Rasha, right? It takes away the influence of the Rasha in the world, which now by default awakes Simcha into the Tzaddik. What does that mean? That means that the Simcha of the Tzaddik is influenced by the amount of Resha there is in the world. The more bad there is around a person, and the less the tzaddik can be besimcha. And the more the pain is, the resha is the less the resha is, the less there's bad around the tzaddik, and the more the simcha of the tzaddik is expressed, is felt and expressed. Okay? Which explains also or highlights the importance of the surrounding and the influence of the people around us. Yes, when a person is around negative people, around evil people, that will affect automatically his inner ability to be besimcha, his inner ability to feel the good, the influence, the good influence of his actions. That's why say oy la rasha ve'oy lishchenav, right? I mean, bad is for the rasha, but also the bad of the rasha is also for his neighbors, because the actions of the rasha influences the neighbors indirectly. So we want to make sure to be around people that do good, because if the bad influences the ability to be good, to express the good or to feel the good, vadai kal vachomer, that if a person is surrounded by good, that good will impact his own good, right, and enhance it. That's the yesod of that pasuk. Good? Okay. Pasuk tet zayin. Okay, that one is a little, okay. We're going to have to, fasten your seatbelt on this one. Adam to'eh miderech haskel. A person, sways, leaves the path of sechel of the intellect. Bikahal refaim yanuach, he will rest in the kahal, in the company of the refaim. Refaim are the ruchot, the bad ruchot, the bad spirits. So the Gaon wants to explain this pasuk based on a maaseh that happened uh, to Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai in the Gemara in Masechet Brachot. The Gemara is in Daf Kaf Chet Amud Bet. The Gemara says like this: when Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai uh, became sick, he was very sick. נכנסו תלמידיו לבקרו. His students came to do ביקור חולים. The Gemara says, when he saw them, he started crying. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai started crying. So his students say, well, why are you crying? You're the light of Am Yisrael, Amud Aimani, the right pillar, but the strong hammer that knows how to crack every sugiyah. Mipnei ma ata boche? You, such a great scholar, a great tzaddik, or great Oved Hashem, why would you cry? He says like this: Amar lahem, ilu lifnei melech basar vadam hayu molichim oti. If I was now on the way to be judged by a man that today he's here, tomorrow he's there, he is dead, אף על פי כן הייתי בוכה. I will still be scared and cry because I don't know, what the judgment will be. But now, right? מוליכין אותי לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. Right? I am brought in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu to be judged. And what? אם כועס עליי, if he's angry at me, כעסו כעס עולם. His anger is an infinite anger. It never stops, meaning if he determines to be angry, the anger will stay forever. Ve'im oserani, and if he imprisons me, isuro isur olam. It's an imprisonment that's forever. Ve'im emitani, and if he kills me, if he decrees death, mitato mitat olam, it's an infinite death. It's a death that's forever. Ve'eni yachol lefayeso bidvarim. There's no way I can convince him otherwise with words. Or try to bribe him with money. Velo od. And not only that, there's two paths in front of me. One to Gan Eden and one to Gehinam. Right? That's what the judgment is about. I don't even know which path they're going to take me on. That's what Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai says. Velo ifke. Isn't that enough of a good reason to cry? ודאי, for sure I'll cry. אמרו לו, his תלמידים told him, רבנו, ברכנו, רבנו, bless us. אמר להם, he told them, יהי רצון שתהא מורא שמיים עליכם כמורא בשר ודם. I pray to Hashem that the fear that you have for Hashem is like the fear you have for men. You should fear men, Hashem, the way you fear men. Good? That's the maaseh in the Gemara. Says the Gaon like this. We need to know that a person he's judged the right alpidin, meaning if a person is judged, then he's facing three negative potential outcome. The first one is Gehinam, right? Purification. The second one, Gilgul, job unfinished. The person has to come back, depending on the job, sometimes in a domain, sometimes in a rock, or he can come in a tree or in a flower, or in an animal if it's better. Right? That's the second negative potential outcome. The third negative potential outcome that he's not being judged. He's on hold. And therefore he cannot live. He cannot move on. Says the Gaon that limbo is the worst of all judgment, the worst outcome possible. And this is the definition of the word refaim, right? Those spirits, those what they translate as ghosts, those like that, are spirits that were not judged and cannot move on from their status. So they're in limbo. In limbo, right? They're on hold, but on hold forever. And therefore, he's not in Olam Hazeh and he's not in Olam Haba. Yes.
That happens when the person is not buried correctly.
No. No. It could. No. Not. There could no. There is such a thing, but it's for different reason. Here we're talking about the actions of a person.
It could be it's one of the three, or could be the three mixed, or the one with the two
No,
mixed.
it's one of the three.
Okay.
So at the end, the person or he goes all through Gehinam, which is the purification process of the sins in order to enter Gan Eden, or he has to come back because he didn't finish what his tikkun, or lo alenu, he's not worthy of a judgment. So says the Gaon, based on these three potential negative outcome of judgment, this is what Rabbi Yohanan ben Zakkai was fearing. And that's what he meant. He says, She'im ko'es, if he's angry, his anger is an anger forever. Anger, which is Geinam. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gets angry at wrongdoings, right? If he imprisons, the imprisonment is the Gilgul. Because now the Neshama goes back into a stone that cannot really do anything, or into a tree that the person has to wait until somebody cuts that tree, and from that tree make a table for the person to make a Seudat Shabbat on that table, or it's a flower for the flower to be cut, eventually for a person to make Boreh Isbe Besamim or Atze Besamim, or if it's a fruit, so until it comes into the table of the person, for that the person can make a beracha on it, or a vegetable. So it's like being in jail.
But
Yes.
in option two could be also to a human being.
Yes, it could be, but that if it's a human being, it's good. It's good. That means that you can still you're still in control.
We're still in business.
You're still in business. That's not that's the imprisonment that Rabbi Yohanan ben Zakkai referred to. And the mitah, and yes, he says that if he decrees death, it's an infinite death. What is the infinite death? The mitat olam is refaim. That's a death from punishment and a death from life. A death is a status quo that doesn't give, yes, any future, not in Olam Hazeh and not in Olam HaEmet. And this is also why Amalek, which is Inyane de Yoma, yeah, we're going to read Zachor the Shabbat, and we have Purim, Mechiat Amalek. That's what Amalek, the definition of Amalek is a safek. The gematria of Amalek is a safek, is a doubt. The limbo, the unknown. This is the worst. Because when a person is in the unknown, okay, he's not here, he's not there. And he is paralyzed. He cannot be productive in any direction. He cannot move in any direction. That's the Lashon also, Nevuchim hem baderech. That's what Paro says. The Bnei Israel were lost in Egypt, meaning they're stuck. They cannot go forward because there's the sea. They cannot go backwards because the Mitzrim are there. They had Baal on one side, and then there were Chayot Raot on the other. They were stuck in their location. That's Nevuchim hem baderech. Sagar lahem hamidbar. They are segurim. They are closed. No movement. They are static. Yes, Navoch also has the shoresh of the word bechi, cry. When a person cries, it's an expression of a stationary feeling that the person doesn't see any exit. He doesn't see any way out. He doesn't see any path. So the expression, the physical expression is a cry, bechi, right? That's navoch, right? And this is exactly what Amalek, right, represents. The doubt, okay? This paralysis. And this is why Rabbi Yohanan ben Zakkai היה בוכה, because he didn't know what to expect. Yes, he had no way to influence. He cannot bribe. He cannot pray. He cannot advocate. When a person loses his ability to engage in any possible way, this is the influence of Amalek. This is the Rephaim. This is being a ghost. This is being a ruach. This is not, yes, being that limbo, yes, is expressed by the body through bechi, through cry. Says Shlomo HaMelech, Adam to'eh miderech haskel, when a person strays away, right, drifts from the path of the sechel, he loses control of his life by sechel, right? His sechel loses the path of his life. Yanuach, he will sit, he will end up amongst the Rephaim, Bighal Rephaim, amongst the assembly, right? Amongst the group of Rephaim. Meaning, if you don't have sechel, if you don't have an intellect that proactively allows you to move forward, backwards, right, left, engage, yes, trigger a proactivity or even an activity, the person ends up becoming a ghost, becoming a ruach that is in limbo. And says the Gaon, this is the worst curse that can happen to a person. Is when a person is stuck and doesn't know how to move forward or backward in his life. This is how we translate the limud in our practical life today. Right? It is learned from what happens after life. If Khalila there is a negative outcome, Rabbi, Rabbi David El-Aluf, Yizacher Letov, gave us a mashal of the Rephaim. He says, you remember, he says, it's based on the Gra. It's like when a person leaves this world, we show him before the judgment what is his potential Gan Eden. After 120 years, we take him on a tour in a mansion. And he sees this mansion and his name is written. This is the mansion of Rabbi Shimon ben Shemuel. Baruch haba, he enters gardens, beautiful fountains, beautiful golden statues. He enters. What an entry! What a living room! What a dining room! What a kitchen, bedroom! He sees all this. Let me take you to the garage. He sees the garage. He sees, wow! Let me take you to the safe. He sees the safe. Hashem berachem, is a beauty. You saw all this? Yes, this my name is written on it. Can I stay? Wait. Now let's go see if you're worthy. This is that's what you're meant to get. Now let's see if this is what you're gonna get. Now the judgment starts. Imagine, okay, what happened now? If it's Gehinnom, they tell you, okay, you just have to go through a cleansing process because you're dirty, your shoes are dirty, you cannot enter this home, you have to clean yourself up to be, okay, no problem. He goes 11 months, Shalom Israel. That's the best case scenario. After that, they're like, look, you know, to enter this, you need two keys. There's two locks. You have one key, you're missing one key. Go back, get the key, and then it's yours, no problem. I thought that's it. I mean, no, slicha, there's another stop along the way. And then, lo alenu, there's the person that say, you see it, you're never getting it. This is what you were supposed to get. And what do we get today? Nada. We don't know. What do you mean we don't know? It's like somebody that he goes to the government and he's waiting for a document. It got no, it doesn't get. So I need to know. You get it? We don't know. You need to wait. Wait in patience. Go sit in your seat and wait in patience. In this case, there's no seat. The person stands. He cannot sit. The worst possible outcome. Says Rabbi David El-Aluf is taking a stone. You throw a stone in the air, the stone goes up, 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 and then it comes down. Yeah, up, 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 and then it comes down. This is the feeling of Gehinnom, of punishment, of a Rephaim, of that stage. Hashem yishmor v'yatzil otanu. Yeah, he sees what he could have enjoyed, but he can never enjoy it. Says the Gaon, these three levels are hinted in another ma'amar in the Gemara, in Masechet Pesachim, Daf Kav Chet, Amud Aleph. The Gemara there, I think it's B'Shem Rabbi Yehuda, if I'm not mistaken, is trying to prove a din in Ba'alacha Bekorbanot, from Pesach, from Chametz. Like, what do you do with the Chametz? So Rabbi Yehuda wants to prove that from a limud in the Pesukim, that if the Korban needs to be burnt, then Vadai the Chametz needs to be burnt. So the Gemara asks, 1 second, but you yourself, if you want to learn from the Korbanot, but Korban Olah, right, you have to bury it, you cannot burn it. So how can you tell me that you want to learn from Korbanot that you have to burn the Chametz, if from another Korban, you yourself say that it's not being burned, it's being buried? So now what happens to the Chametz? You bury it or you burn it? He didn't know what to answer. Rabbi Yehuda, if I'm not mistaken, it's Rabbi Yehuda. He couldn't answer. So the Gemara, now the Amoraim express themselves on the situation. This is like it's like a very odd situation, you know. You have a Chacham that gives an opinion, he proves an opinion, and then Ofrim et Aker al Pia. Then we tell you, but you yourself said the opposite, right? So the Chachamim, the Amoraim, want to ex, to 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 give like a mashal of what that situation feels like. Yes, very interesting. That the Gemara goes out of its way, and you're going to see with three different opinions to explain what type of feeling is that. Like, how can it like what is that compared to? Interesting. Eh? It shows you how the Amoraim were sensitive to the emotion and the shame that making of taking making a psak or saying an opinion, and then from your own opinion you are contradicted. So the first one is Rav Yosef. Rav Yosef says, he says, you know what this is compared to? You understood the case, yes? The case is clear. Okay? So says Rav Yosef, it's compared to a man that made a spoon, okay? A beautiful spoon of gold, and with that spoon, he filled his mouth with chardal, with mustard, like very, very spicy mustard. He burned his mouth with the mustard. So the same spoon that he made out of gold, that he's proud of, is the same spoon that burnt his mouth. Rav Yosef. Come Abaye, he says, no, I tell you another one. He's like a carpenter that built sadana. Sadana is like those. At the time when you wanted to imprison someone. Today they have chains. There was like these big wood that had that were carved, and the prisoner would put his feet into the wood and they would close it, so he would walk like a penguin like this, yeah, and he cannot run away. I don't know how it's called today. It's like chains. Yeah, like chains. So says Abaye, he's like the man, the carpenter that made this sadhana and ended up wearing it himself. So the ones that he built, right? Rava says no. It's like an arrow. Yes, that the arms master made. Yes, and that arrow struck him. He was struck from the same arrow. Comes the Rabbeinu Agra and says, please, you guys have nothing, don't have anything else to do with your time than giving me these mashalim. One says it looks like a golden spoon, the other one like a sadana, the other one like an arrow. Who cares? Just say, okay. You know, the mouse, the mouse, you said it's asur, but this mouse says it's, what's the big deal? So he says, the Chachamim, the Amoraim here, referred to the level of pain, of punishment after life that Rabbi Yehuda felt. Rav Yosef says it's like a golden spoon that burned the mouth. What burns? Geinam burns. That's the mustard burning in the mouth. So he says to Rabbi Yehuda, that was as painful as what a person would feel in Gehinam, of the burning of Gehinam. Abaye says no. It's like being stuck, right, in this sadhana, in those chains. And how is stuck? That's the Gilgul, coming back, yes, and being stuck in a Gilgul. So according to says Rava says Abaye to Rabbi Yosef, that's wrong. If you think that's what Rabbi Yehuda felt, it's worse than that. According to him, It's like he was now stuck in a Gilgul. He was so stuck, he felt like Mamash, he's like he came back as a Gilgul. That he has to relearn everything now. He has to be dependent. He made a mistake somewhere. He has to start from scratch. Comes Rava and says, you, Rav Yosef, and you, Abaye, didn't understand what he felt. According to him, it's like an arrow came and struck him. It killed him. Like he tasted the taste of death. I know what? The death that, what did we say? Death is, according to Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai, right? Rephaim, right? He was so stuck, he didn't know. He was paralyzed. He couldn't move, not forward, not backwards. It froze him. You understand? So the Amoraim, we're not trying to just give another nice mashal. They each felt they projected themselves in the situation of Rabbi Yehuda and tried to feel what was Rabbi Yehuda feeling at that moment. And each one felt something else. This is what it meant to them to make a mistake in Torah. To say something that contradicts yourself. That's how important, that's how serious, that's how painful not learning the Torah al pi emet was to them. Today you make a mistake, you say the halacha wrong, who cares? Okay, so you made a mistake, ma kara, ma kara. Well, to Rav Yosef, Abaye, and Rava, it was like being judged unfavorably in the most painful ways. But he says, the Gaon, he says, that's what we say, Baruch Hashem, Matir Asurim. Matir Asurim, dehainu, who is Asir, who is imprisoned, the Gilgul. So every morning we say, Baruch Hashem, Matir Asurim, we bless HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? So that he gives us the opportunity to do a tikkun so that we don't come back. That's the kavanah we should have when we say Matir Asurim. To give us the chokhmah and the potential, right? To fulfill our tikkun in this world so that we don't come back as a Gilgul. Now back to the pasuk. All this was the easy part. Now we're going to dive into the, maybe we don't have time, but maybe, okay. We're going to say the pasuk. Ve'Hashem ya'azor lanu. He says, Adam to'eh. I don't know. Maybe it's, okay. Adam to'eh. No, maybe we should, what are we today? We're Thursday. No, we cannot wait until Monday for that. Hmm. I'm going to say what he says, but without a pirush, we probably won't understand anything, but it's another shiur, okay? All this was easy. The pirush of Adam To'eh, says the Gaon, is referring, okay, to a pasuk, Bemot Adam Rasha, in Yud Aleph, Perek Yud Aleph, Yud Zayin. The pasuk, the Shlomo HaMelech says, Bemot Adam Rasha, Tovad Tikva. V'tochelet onim avada. We learned that pasuk that when the Rasha dies, all his tikva, all his hopes, immediate hopes, dies with him. But even what he was hoping, or his children were hoping to get from him, that also disappears. He says, this is the Adam we're talking about. So we're talking about Adam Rasha Tovat Tikva. Adam that lives his life based on Tikva. Tikva is short-term hopes, expectations. And this is referring to what? To what Amos says in his Sefer, in Perek Bes, Al Shosha Pish'ei Israel. The Pasuk says, let's see if I have it here, in Amos, just so that I read the whole Pasuk. Ko Amar Hashem. So Hashem says, and now he's talking about all the Averot that the Bnei Israel were doing, okay, at his time. And I will read Rashi because you need to understand what Rashi highlights. Al shlosha pish'ei, sorry, Ko Amar Hashem, so says Hashem. You can see it is in Amos Perek Bet Pasuk Vav. You can see it in if you have in Sefer. Okay, Al shlosha pish'ei Israel, for the three averot of Israel, for three averot of Israel, ve'al arba'a, and for the fourth one, lo ashivenu, I will not allow him to do teshuvah. I will not bring him back. Who are we talking about? Al micham bakesef tzaddik, for those who soils for money the tzaddik, the right one, the evion and the poor, ba'avur na'alaim, so that they can buy a pair of shoes. You hear what Amos is saying? Amos is saying like this: as the three averot of the Pishrei Israel, Pesha is proactive, knowledgeable, willing avera. There are three that can come back. But al arba'ah, but the fourth cannot come back, will not come back and do teshuvah. Who is that one? The one that pays, okay, to punish the tzaddik, meaning that basically pays shochad, right? And why is the judge taking the shochad, says Rashi? So that he can go and pay or buy of shoes, buy a pair of shoes. Now, at the time, the shoes was a sign of ashirut, a sign of wealth, a sign of kavod. But it also means if we put one and one together, the isur of wearing leather shoes on Yom Kippur is because when you wear leather shoes, you show that you master, that you're in control of nature. The leather comes from the cow, from the ox. The ox represents Eretz, which we will see, Bli Neder, in the next shiur. Yes? What the Gra brings in the Zohar Kadosh, in the Tikkun HaZohar. And when you wear the skin of the animal that represents the strength of the earth, right? Because with the ox, with the leather of the cow, they plow the fields, they work the field. That was the siman, the koach, the sign of the koach of the earth. When you wear that, you show that you're in control. Yes, those judges, yes, took bribe, not for the pleasure of the bribe, but they took the bribe in order to empower themselves and show that they are in control and they are the law. For that, says Amos, there is no return. Says the Gaon, this is the Adam we're talking about in Perek Yud Aleph, Adam Rasha Tovet Tikva. That's when the person has short expectations and hopes. So he doesn't see further past until the end. He sees only what's good for him at that moment and what he's about to build and benefit from in a short term. And that is the Rasha, yes, that we refer to when the Shlomo HaMelech says Adam to'eh miderech haskel. That's when a person strays from the sechel, from the straight mind. Yes, this is the Adam we're talking. Adam to'eh we're talking about here is the Adam Rasha Ovet Tikva in Perek Yud Aleph, and he says, and this is what we're referring to, the fourth Avera Pesha in the Nevuah of Amos. And he says on the Pa'am HaRevi'it, right? What is he called? He's called Adam. Okay? And what does that mean? We don't know yet. We will see. Oh, okay, I don't want to jump the gun. Okay? But this is the definition of Adam that we're referring to. And says, basically Shlomo HaMelech says like this, or based on what the Gaon says in Amos, and I understand. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives you the ability to metaken in this world. First option. Then he gives you another option to fix Gehinam, number 2. Then, right? Nachon? Or maybe the first option in this world, Zelo, that's your actions. But the first, let's say like the first option is Gehinam. The second option is Gilgul. Okay. Let me go back again. The first option is Ba'olam Hazeh. The second option is Gehinam. The third option is Gilgul. The fourth one, there's no coming back. Okay? So he says, Shlosha Pish'ei Israel. The Peshaim of Israel are 3 that you can fix. You have 3, strike 1, strike 2, strike 3, finished. You have fourth time, the fourth time you're out. Right? In baseball, you have 3 strikes. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has more rahamim than in baseball. He gives you 4 strikes. Okay? But the fourth, there's no return, finished. Out. Says Shlomo HaMelech, Adam to'eh miderech haskel, be careful. Because when the person strays and go out of the path of the sechel, yes, it's a slippery slope. It's a slippery slope. And the person will waive the ability to do teshuvah through Gehinam, on this world. He's not going to be smart enough to think that he can do teshuvah. He still can fix through Gehinam. He's not even going to be think that he's able to do teshuvah through Gilgul. And he's going to end up Refaim, Bikal Refaim Yanuach. He's going to end up resting with the assembly, the group of Refaim, which they have no tikkun. That's the Arba'ah. Meaning when people can get to the point where they're so wicked, said Amos, that they will take bribes just to buy a pair of shoes. They're willing to sell their olam emet. They're willing to sell their olam haba. They're willing to sell their ability to go through Gehinam and to go through the Gilgul. For what? For a pair of shoes. For the most mundane thing in olam hazeh. And why? All for the flag, for the title of pride, all for control. That's what the shoe represent. Just so that they can feel they have control. That's the Musar of Shlomo HaMelech. Well, maybe maybe I'll spare you with all the Tikkun HaZohar because that's the Musar aspect of it. Or maybe not, I don't know, I think about it. Maybe we'll go over it because there are a few Gilgulim. Maybe next year we'll talk about the concept of Gilgulim and how the person falls into the Madriga of Rephaim. Tov Be'ezrat Hashem. So למעשה, we're officially על פי הפשט, and that's, I gave it to you the easiest way possible. We've learned the Biur HaGra on that pasuk. בלי נדר נעיין a little bit more with the Tikkunei HaZohar, so that we understand the three levels that we've spoke about, right? The three levels of Tikkunin, the Shalosh Pishai Israel, and what is the fourth one? And it's Keneged, the four Raglei HaMerkava, the Shor, the Nesher, the Ari, and Adam. Okay. That's an introduction for next year.
Yes. We want the Musar.
This one needs a review.